Should billionaires exist? Jeff Bezos spent $5.5 billion on a 10-minute space trip. Elon Musk spent $47 billion on an underground tunnel system to solve traffic. The tunnels ended up being exclusive to Tesla cars. That much money could have been spent on improving public transport. Most billionaires spend money in a selfish manner. Should there be an upper cap on wealth? Well, His Highness, the great Bernie Sanders, wants billionaires to be abolished. And he wants them to be taxed, and he says there should be no billionaires. See, if you have billionaires, it's because the system allows billionaires to rise. Uh, the US is an out and out capitalist country. The system is fully capitalistic, right? Nowadays, there is more of a pro Marxist kind of reconfiguration. The society is becoming more and more pro left. That's a different story. But historically, the US has been a capitalist society, and there is no cap on how wealthy you can become in that. And that's why you have this massive wealth inequality in the US. The top 2% of the wealth is owned by, no 80% of the wealth is owned by 2% of the people, or something like that, roughly like that. Massive wealth and income disparities. And people who are below the poverty line or near the poverty line are forced to work 2-3 jobs a day, 14, 15, 16 hours a day, in order to just bring a little bit of food to the table for the families. That's the kind of incredibly unequal system it is. In the US, if you are wealthy, it's a wonderful place to live in. You have the whole world is open to you. But if you're not wealthy, it's terrible. So the question is should billionaires exist? Listen, I have nothing against billionaires. The system encourages competition. The system encourages innovation, and people who do this will accrue the rewards of that. You innovate, you compete well, and you come out on top, you're going to be very wealthy. That's how it is. Now, I think the billionaires are taxed very less and all that. So there are pros and cons to this thing. I don't think we should abolish billionaires. Maybe billionaires, see, once you have earned a certain amount of wealth, it's yours and you can do whatever you want with it, right? You could donate it to charity like some people pretend to do, charities that have certain purposes, yeah, or you could just splurge it all or whatever. So it's up to them. I say I would say I would definitely want billionaires and wealthy people to live responsible lives and contribute to society. I mean, you become wealthy when you contribute something to society. You don't become wealthy by stealing wealth. These people in a capitalistic system, you have to solve the problems that society is facing. You have to offer value to society. In exchange, you acquire wealth. That's how it works. And I think that's a fair trade. Obviously, you can't have a capitalist system in which the only objective is quarter upon quarter profit and a never-ending expansion at the expense of the resources and the environment of our planet. So that's what we have in the West, and that's why the environment is in such trouble today, because of the extremely irresponsible way in which these corporations expand. I mean, consider a television set. These days we have these flat screen TVs. These TVs, they cost a lot of money to make. It takes a lot of resources and various kinds of rare earths and various metals and various things that you have to extract out of the earth's surface, yeah, to manufacture one TV. These TVs will cost, I don't know, whatever it costs, 50,000 rupees, 100,000 rupees, whatever, depending on the size, configuration, and so on. These flat screen TVs typically last 2 or 3 years, and then the screen goes blank and you have to dump it in the trash and buy a new one. These companies, they make sure these TVs don't last long, yeah, so that you have to keep buying new television sets every couple of years. And all of it's a perfectly good machine, but the screen goes blank and you have to replace it. That's what happens. Isn't that an incredibly irresponsible waste of resources? That's what's destroying the planet. Whether it's TVs, whether it is cell phones, they want you to keep buying new devices every couple of years or every year, ideally. And that is what's destroying the planet. And many of these billionaires, they become billionaires by indulging in such practices. And that's not frowned upon. And at the end of the day, they blame India and China for pollution. So the overall system needs to be looked at, and it needs to be reformed on an urgent basis. But I would not blame Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos alone solely for this. Elon Musk hasn't been indulging in such practices. His companies are not overall that bad for the environment. He has this solar company which is reasonably good, which is actually trying to solve a certain problem, that we should not extract we should not use fossil fuels for electricity. We should use solar power. It's a good thing. The Tesla company, it's all about electric vehicles. That doesn't quite solve the problem, because you can generate electricity by burning coal, for instance, and the lithium ion batteries they use are not quite good for the environment. So there are problems everywhere, but it needs to be looked at judiciously. We should not straight away abolish billionaires, and if that happens, then people will not have any incentive to work hard and innovate and make the world a better place. So there have to be, there's give and take, there's pros and cons. Overall, capitalism is not completely bad, but it has to be done responsibly, not at the expense of the planet, and not at the expense of other countries. So that's how it is, but I don't see these problems being solved anytime soon. So that's where we are. So I would say that it's the Western capitalistic system which is the root cause of all of this, the good as well as the bad.